Deputy Higgins.
Thank you.
Taoiseach, your government this week is declaring a new economic war on the Irish people with your new household tax, a new burden on ordinary people in furtherance of your ruinous austerity policy of bailing out banks and speculators. Do you have any idea, Taoiseach, of how angry and frustrated and outraged our people have become over the last 3 years, as their wages have been slashed, as their services have been slashed, health slashed, education slashed, and our society hollowed out, as the resources of our society are expropriated to pay the private gambling debts of Irish and European banks? Do you not remember the anger last month of ordinary people when €700 million was given to unsecured Anglo bondholders from their taxes? Do you not see that this household tax is a burden too far? Starting at €100, everybody knows it will go quickly to 1,000, and the EU IMF are driving it as well. But do you understand that it will be met with a massive campaign of opposition from Donegal to Wexford, from Kerry right back to Dublin? And your disgraceful campaign of intimidation that is starting already, threatening householders with €2,500 in fine for non-registration, will be resisted. You set March the 31st as a deadline. Do you know that there is already a massive campaign calling on the huge bulk of the 1.6 million householders who are middle and low-income workers and ordinary people, that they should boycott this tax, that this is their opportunity to have their own referendum on these ruinous austerity policies? And do you know that they are being called upon not to register in January, which you cannot touch them, not to register in February, you cannot touch them, not to register in the first half of March, you cannot touch them, and we will arrive at the end of March with the vast bulk of the 1.6 million householders will have boycotted this registration, and then obviously do not register, do not pay, but break this unjust tax. Now, Taoiseach, do you know that the attitude of people out there is if you bring one to court after March 31st, they will all go, and that you cannot coerce 1 million+ householders, 3+ million ordinary people? Lastly, Taoiseach, in boycotting this new unfair, unjust burden, our people will be taking a leaf actually from the history pages of your own county, when the people stood up and resisted the unfair, unjust extortion of landlords. You will be the new Captain Boycott of austerity in this country, imposing the will.
Deputy, you're way over time. Would you please sit down? Thank you.
And bleeding our people. Now, coming from where you come from, how will you live with that?
Would you please? Thank you. Taoiseach.
Why didn't I think of that?
You'll be Nemo.
I suppose I should address you as Captain Kirk of the Enterprise. I always thought that Kerry people understood that there's nothing free in this world, and that when you turn on the tap, that somebody's got to pay to put the water in there in the first place. And water in Kerry or in Donegal or in Dublin, somebody's got to pay for it, Deputy. The charge for this is €2 per week. €2 per week. Now, you led a campaign previously on the bin service. I saw you being dragged away at some stage or other behind a truck many years ago. And you know what that did, Deputy? It led directly to the privatisation of bin services around the country. That's what it did. That's what it did. Because you felt coming from County Kerry, where they pride themselves in keeping their towns and their countryside clean, that you could leave the rubbish and let somebody collect it just as an afterthought. This money will go to fund services for your area and for every other area around the country, like fire services and libraries and street cleaning and lighting and painting and so on. And I'd like to say to you that these things were all funded by the Exchequer up until now, and it's necessary that citizens understand that they can make a contribution here of €2 per week in respect of this. The 160 million expected to be raised from this is based on the number of properties that are expected to be liable to the charge. And as you know, Deputy, there are waivers that apply in this case. Those in receipt of mortgage interest supplement have a waiver. Those in receipt of social housing supports or rent supplement have a waiver. Those in category 3 and 4 of unfinished housing estates, building, planning, control issues and public safety issues, or where the developer is not contactable, have a waiver. Exemptions where people don't need to declare apply in the case of where properties are part of a trading stock of a business, they're not sold or not generated an income. Local authority properties that are used for social housing, voluntary or cooperative properties. Properties that are owned by the government or by HSE, that are owned by charities, where commercial rates apply, and where a person is forced to face home due to long-term mental or physical infirmity. The range of waivers and the range of non-declarations that are available there are very extensive. And Deputy, this is a €2 charge per week for a very vital facility. And if you think that when you turn on your tap in the morning to go to shave, that you're not worth €2 a week yourself, and then consider what you're at.
Your supplementary question, Deputy, please. Thank you.
Count Collier, you know, spurious arguments like that and evading the critical issue. Everything can be boiled down to a few euros a week. Electricity, gas, heat, the children's clothes, childcare, you know, everything. Childcare more than a few euros a week, by the way. So, you know, that's just completely spurious. People in Kerry, Taoiseach, and in Mayo and in Dublin understand that nothing is free. Absolutely, because they pay for it already. We have running water in our homes because taxpayers funded the infrastructure and continue to fund it. That is why. And don't insult them by pretending that the resources from that come from outer space. Deputy? And you are wrong in regard to the privatisation of the bin service up and down this country. The vast bulk of local authorities had already privatised their bin services before the Dublin protest. Can I invite you, however, to look rather at the anti-water tax campaign 94, 5 and 6, when a massive boycott of the people of Dublin forced a government with your party in it to get rid of that tax in December of 1996. And that's what you're looking at again, let me tell you. Now,
could I have your supplementary question now, then? Deputy, you're over time, would you please?
Can I ask you, Taoiseach, that you're trying to blur the situation by reading out a whole list of waivers? Can I ask you to acknowledge that, in fact, the vast bulk of ordinary people on low and middle incomes, including pensioners, people in negative equity, people put to the pin of their collar to pay their mortgages, will be forced or will have this tax demanded of them if you pass it in this stall? And can I lastly bring to your attention, there is loads of money that can be got for our public
Deputy,
and
you're way over
local
time,
services.
and it's a supplementary
on the 25th of January.
Sorry, Deputy, would you please?
You intend to pay $1.2 billion to a single unsecured bondholder.
Deputy, would you please?
Just
Please resume your seat, Deputy.
Give it to the local authorities and give the people a break. I invite you to withdraw this household tax this week.
This legislation will be debated immediately after the order of business, so please. Thank you. Please,
I've already pointed out for the information of Deputy Higgins the range of waivers that apply here, where people will not have to pay this charge. Deputy Higgins is also aware that the decisions made in the budget mean that for every worker there is no change in their income tax rate, that the government reversed the minimum wage increase brought in by the last government, that the government have made decisions to take 330,000 of lower paid people out of the universal social charge and alleviate the pressure on them. And as I said, the range of waivers and categories that do not have to declare this is very extensive indeed. It's a €2 charge per week for a very vital and fundamental facility. And obviously, Deputy, I'm quite sure that in your constituency you want to have as many people at work and in gainful employment as is possible. And water water and water facilities are going to be the criteria for many of the industries which are going to employ thousands of people over the next decades in this country. It's about time some government faced up to the extent of leakages in the water system, of inadequate water systems, and local authorities being able to provide services for their citizens in their own areas. This is a charge of €2 per week, and it's going to be used for very vital services in each local authority area around the country.
Thank you.